This is it then, episode 5 of Running Cooked. So it's been an interesting week, and I'll start off with a quote. The maker of a man isn't his success, it's how he deals with setbacks. Someone said it once, I'm not too sure who, but someone has said it once and I've heard it before. And this week has been a major bit of a setback. So currently got my foot wrapped up in ice. I had foot pain all week. Mileage has been extremely low. I'll be lucky if I break 40 miles this week, which is very unusual for me. Start with foot pain on Monday, a little bit Sunday after my long run, and then Monday it got worse. Ran my normal mileage Monday, ran 7 mile on Tuesday, still didn't feel any better, so I decided to drop it all the way back, and I've stuck with 5Ks ever since. Today's Saturday that I'm filming the video, and I've run 4 mile this afternoon. It didn't feel comfortable, but it didn't feel painful either. I can still go out and run at a decent pace, but there's pain, and I can't actually see the bone structure in my left foot anymore because of the swelling. I'm a little bit worried that it could be a stress fracture, but we soldier on, we battle on, and we take the rough with the smooth. If it does get progressively worse going into next week, obviously I'll be looking at getting some sort of scan or whatever I can on it, just to put myself in with a bit of peace of mind, so I know where it is, so I know what I'm dealing with. But at the minute, I've got a boot on my foot. I've been icing it all week, keeping it down, and it seems to be working. It is getting better. It's not getting worse. So it's been a week full of grassy runs. Stuck on Broadway Field, which is a field that I frequented a lot as a kid. Just literally run laps around Broadway Field. Got it done, enjoyed it the best that I can, and just got through the motions of actually running. I haven't lost any fitness, and I'll not lose fitness in a week, but it does become a worry when you're 3-4 weeks out from a marathon and you're wrapped up in ice because your foot can't take it anymore. Might have been a little bit, I've done too much whilst I've had a bit of a cold. Who knows? But it's one of them things, and you just got to deal with it and make yourself as a person and get over that setback and push forwards once the injury or the niggle has subsided. So yeah, that's that for training anyway this week. It's nothing much exciting. The montage video says it all. It has literally just been laps around the field, getting out there and just running basically. Clip this little bit in after, so apologies about the sun and the change in light and all that sort of stuff, but it's a key bit that obviously I've missed out, and I thought it's key to mention, especially for those that might be dealing with some sort of similar injuries or niggles or pains. So this week I've been running on the grass because obviously it's softer on my feet. It's easier when you land. It's not as firm and as true as tarmac. You do find it a little bit harder, but it is that softness that I needed on my feet. As well, for every single run I'm quite fortunate where I've got a pair of 4% alpha flies and vapor flies, and I've got another pair of 4%, another pair of alpha flies, another pair of vapor flies. So I've got 2 of every model shoe with carbon plate that Nike do. And my reasoning for wearing the carbon plate is obviously it keeps my foot straight. I've spent a lot of time walking around as well. I've got some Zoom flies which I've got on my feet right now. Some Zoom flies, SPs and all sorts of stuff that have also got carbon plates in, just to support my foot and keep it in a straight position, and that's the reasoning obviously for wearing the boot. It keeps my foot in a straight position, supports my foot, and keeps it firm and keeps it straight, so that I'm not flexing it. It's not something that I'm going to do over the long term, wearing vapor flies, alpha flies, 4%, whatever you want to call them. I'm not a big believer in wearing them in training, just because you should be having all them gains when it comes to a race. But that's a completely different subject, and I'll talk about that in a future week. Anyway, on to the next part of my video. So last week I got a question about because last week I was talking about diet and losing weight and actually doing proper strength and conditioning rather than just lifting heavy weights. So this week I'm going to talk a little bit more about my diet and what I actually did to cut back weight and drop a stone, then a stone and a half, and then 2 stone. So it started off, obviously I was 13 stone, was a little bit heavy, wanted to get my weight down. I started looking at what I was doing with my days, what I was doing with my food, and a massive part of my food intake once upon a time, believe it or not, I used to get through 2 1-kilogram jars of Nutella in 1 week. So my porridge in the morning used to be a massive bowl of porridge, like a mixing bowl of porridge, and then probably about 3 spoons of Nutella, which was absolutely massive. And if I had to do that now, I'd probably feel sick. I have tried it recently and not a fan anymore, and definitely not a fan of Nutella. I think I just went overkill. So with the porridge, I cut that down, stopped having so much Nutella, and then completely cut porridge out, like full stop. I switched to strawberry granola, which as soon as you find something that you love, stick with it. And I have it routinely every single day, where I'll have strawberry granola for breakfast. It is a big portion, and obviously going forward it'd be cutting down the portion size that I'd do with that, if I was looking to make any more improvements in my diet. And then another thing that I used to do that I don't anymore is I used to have a massive bowl of pasta. So the tortellini stuff that you can get from any supermarket, the stuffed pasta, I used to have a full tray of that, and then I'd have cheese, chicken, piri salt, all sort of mushed together and melted in the pan, and then I'd have a full packet of it to myself. And on the serving size, it actually just say half a packet is enough for 1 person. So I used to have 2 packets of that, and it was way too much, so I cut that out of my diet, substituted it for something else. And I do try and mix it up with my dinners, but any work colleague will tell you that I'm a sucker for couscous, Nando's sauce and chicken. It's my go-to. And especially when I'm in the car for my dinners, which is most days, I can literally take a flask with hot water in, make my couscous in the car with the hot water that I've boiled and put in the flask, and then I've got a hot dinner for lunch, especially when I'm out about in the car and trying to get my work done in the day. But couscous is a massive, with the measured packets as well, it's easy then to keep the portion size down but still get enough intake into your system. And for my evening meals, I always look at healthy options, so substituting for healthy options. I have done periods where I've gone through like being vegan or vegetarian, where I've substituted for corn and substituted it for meat-free alternatives, but it's not something that I stick with routinely. I do like, I'll not shy away from it. If there's something nice that looks vegan or vegetarian, I will choose that as well. But it's just one of them things that I do enjoy my meat, and I enjoy my chicken way too much as well. So I do substitute now and then for that, and then I'll also make all healthy choices in terms of swapping chips for sweet potato chips, not putting cheese on top of chips, which sometimes I do quite a lot, and I'll try and not do it as much in a week. I'll try and chuck some veg in there, chuck fruit in there, and always for desserts look at healthy alternatives, so it will be like a fruit salad, even though I'm a sucker for a massive slice of cake. So every now and then in our house, James's girlfriend will tell you, 'cause she'll look at me and say, I don't know how you're that skinny and you eat all this cake. We'll buy a cake and it'll just be mine, no one else will see it, and it's a birthday every week in our house, so we will buy a cake for a birthday, and it will be me that just eats it. But that is something that when I'm touching towards like peaking for a marathon, it's something that I'll obviously avoid. With the amount of running I do, I can afford to eat like empty calories, so I do eat a lot, and I'm touching sometimes 3,000-4,000 calories a day, and that is just because of the amount of running I do. And when you're running at peak 18 miles a day, it's something that you need to do to get it in your system and replace what you've lost. Obviously it is about making healthy choices when you're replacing that in your system. So like, for example, choosing healthier snacks and choosing healthy substitutes. A simple one that I also do is I've never really been brought up on anything other than skim milk. So I've always had skim milk in my diet. Probably why I've got a foot problem now. But it's not often I get stuff like this. So I've always had skim milk, which is obviously an healthy choice. I've always got low-fat butter instead of real butter in the house. Very rarely we'll buy snack stuff in. It's always healthy alternatives, because if it's not there, you can't eat it. So it's just about being mindful when you're shopping that you're doing your healthy alternatives in terms of your snacks. It is one of them things that you've got to prepare for, and it's not something that you can do overnight in terms of your diet. So you can't just suddenly cut everything out and expect it to fall into place, because you're going to fall back into your bad habits. And at work we teach a Fit Reds course for over 35s to get them re-engaged in physical activity, and we'll always try and preach to them to each week make one like healthy choice, one healthy alternative, and build that into your life, and over time it'll become a habit. Whereas if you make 10, 15, 20 choices in 1 week, it's not going to become a habit. And it's about making that long-term lifestyle change when it comes to your food and it comes to your diet. So that's all I kind of did to lose my weight. Initially I did I dropped about half a stone through cold and sickness, and then it stayed off because I was already doing the right things before I hit the cold and sickness at that time. Got myself down pretty decent. Going forward, onwards and upwards sort of stuff, I would be looking to try and get myself sub 11 stone, just because I believe that's where my peak performance will be at. And it is a process. It has been dropping off, so over the last year I've lost about half a stone. You can tell because I've lost it on my arms and I've lost a little bit on my face. This week, in terms of diet, it has been really clean. Obviously, with the limited mileage and not doing so much exercise, I've had to eat really clean just so I'm not piling on a little bit or extra weight. With me doing increased mileage all of the time as well, my body's sort of become accustomed to, I don't need as much to function at times, so I can go on a normal diet, a normal intake, and I should be all right for a couple of days where I won't be starving to death. But with the increased mileage, also over time, for example, if I have a really big Monday, Tuesday, I'll be looking at a Wednesday as like a refeed day, where I'm absolutely starving and I'm wanting to eat everything in the house, and that's when I've got to be very careful not to make the bad choices and make the bad habits set in, and it's just those refeed days where you are feeling really hungry that I have got to be mindful for that. Another thing as well is Charlie mentioned in a couple of episodes back that I have got to be mindful of is in a day I don't drink enough, so I'll not drink enough water. And it's very easy for water to become and dehydration to be confused with hunger. So it is mindful just to flush my body every now and then and have a good water intake. Obviously, I'm sweating a lot with my running, even though this week the runs have been that easy. I've not felt the need to sweat. I've got to top it up what I'm losing with the water intake. And that's that. So that's what I did to lose weight. That's what I'm continuing to do to lose weight. You've seen clips of my diet and what I've eaten this week. And what I just suggest to you going forward is, as a person, look at your healthy substitutions that you can make. So if you have got full fat butter in the fridge, bin it and get some low fat butter. If you've got full fat milk or semi-skimmed milk, bin it and get some skimmed. It is one of them things, it does become a habit over time. And then making the healthy choices in terms of snacks. Something I don't do so much is snack. And if I do snack, I do try and choose healthy choices because that's all I've got in my house. Sometimes I'll have a lot of them healthy choices, especially on the refeed sort of stuff where I'm starving and wanting to eat everything in the cupboards. But if there's not much of it, you can't do that, and you do get a little bit bored sometimes. and then just look at chipping away at your lifestyle choices that you can make. So if you are having a big breakfast, change it and swap it for a smaller breakfast or an healthier option. And that's it, guys. So going forward for this week, for me, it'll be further icing, recovery of the foot. Hopefully it'll improve and I don't need to do an hospital visit. And then hopefully I can push on and actually try and get on the start line at Wrexham. It is one of them things, but like I said at the beginning of the video, the maker of a man isn't his successes and his achievements. It is how he deals with setbacks and overcomes them. So thank you for joining me on episode 5 of Running Cooked, and I look forward to updating you next week.